Welcome to Content Catalyst. I'm Deb Szabo. I'm a marketing strategist and video coach, and I help people get clear on their messaging, provide them with tools and techniques to get more visible using content marketing and video so they make more money. And when I first started my career, I worked in radio advertising, help businesses promote themselves using radio ads and promotions. And if you were a small business in the early 90s, you'd have to spend thousands, if not tens of thousands, to promote your business. And here's what I've learned. It was a high risk for small businesses because for them to outlay $5,000, let's say, that would get you, say, a 2-week campaign of ads. And there was no guarantee for a return on investment. It was a really high risk activity to do because essentially you needed to have an opening, for example, a grand opening or a really hot offer like a 50% off or a clearance to really see a return and impact for your money. And the reason why I say that is because often the ads alone needed more support with other promotions. So, for example, you might do an OB, which is an outside broadcast, where they would broadcast from your location. Or they would send the promotional vehicles around, do live crosses, live reads from the announcers, which would add thousands of dollars more to that initial campaign. Now, if you were a small business and they wanted you to advertise continuously and consistently, then they might offer, say, a brand awareness campaign, and that might cost you $1,000 or $2,000 to do that. However, they would most likely be concentrated with your campaign schedule would be filler ads, and so they weren't put into peak times generally. And I guess it was, positioned so you could stay top of mind. The risk is it was difficult to measure those brand awareness campaigns because not everyone would walk into your store going, "Hey, I heard you on a radio ad," unless you were offering a specific product or a service at a hot offer, essentially. So then it comes down to, in traditional advertising, there was also a pecking order as well. So you had TV was at the top of the game because it was visual, it offered audio and text. So, you might be spending 10 to 20K on that campaign to run. And then if you wanted your radio, which was only audio, you'd be spending, say, another $5,000 there. Print to put a sizable ad in the newspaper was another $3,000 at least. So then you all of a sudden you've clocked up, 15, 20 grand to do one campaign for the month if you wanted to use 3 different platforms or touch points to reach your audience. And we knew even back then that you needed to use them collectively together to maximize the impact that you would have on your promotion. Now, if you were in a cap city, so that's a regional center, but if you're in a capital city, you could expect to easily pay 20 times more for that same campaign, especially when it came to TV. So if we hop in the old DeLorean and head to 2024, and we fast forward to the digital age, what are our options now? Well, you can go for paid ads still, and you can use all of those same traditional advertising mediums. And these days you'll spend tens of to hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising. But now you can also promote your business for free. Now, I'm not against advertising. Absolutely not. I think it's a really great way to drive leads and make big impact if you've got the advertising budget. But if you don't, then, and I'll go back to, I'm not against advertising, but if you are going to spend these days, most of us will boost a Facebook ad or Instagram ad. But if you are going to pay for Facebook ads and things, then you need to have a strong organic presence for your ads to be really successful. So here are 10 ways to promote your business for free. And us as business owners have the power to do this at any time that we like. So number 1, social media. That's the first thing that always comes to mind. It still blows me away that I can make a video anytime I like and share it anytime, anywhere, and reach anyone in the world. So if we think of social media, you've got your usual suspects: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever. Number 2 is Google. And this is probably one of the most underutilized resources that we have to use for free and one of the most powerful. So if you don't have a Google My Business page, even as a service provider, I highly recommend that you set up your Google Business page. If you don't regularly push out content to your Google page, then make sure that you've got a scheduler, for example, that you can schedule in your content to go out there or put it in your diary. If you've got an event, for example, make sure that it goes into Google Events because when people are searching for things to do in your area, uh, this is where you're going to come up. So, really look at how you can optimize your Google profile because it really does matter with your discoverability. Number 3 is email marketing. Now, one of the things with social media is that we don't own our lists and we don't own the people that are our followers. And if for any reason you get shadow banned or your account gets shut down or hacked or anything, you might have 10, 30,000, 100,000 followers. They're all gone and you've lost access to communicate with them. So having an email list helps to protect you from that you can still communicate with your database if anything happens. And you can control the message in there as well, where a lot of, censorship goes on with a lot of platforms as well. So email marketing, especially if you're like an alcohol brand, you can't, you have to, there's a lot of strict control around what you can and can't promote online with, say, if you're a winery. So an email list will really help you to communicate what you do with your audience. Another one is blogs. Now, blogs is one of those things that I've had a love-hate relationship with over the years because I never really saw it as much impact, initially. But the more and more that we go down the rabbit hole of how online discoverability is changing, especially with what's coming with Google and their generative AI search features, is that we are needing to make sure that we have our blogs on our websites about the topics and services that we offer because more and more it's affecting our discoverability when people are searching certain things. And I use Perplexity AI instead of ChatGPT because when you have the pro version of Perplexity, you also get ChatGPT included in it as well. So I essentially use both. However, whenever I search something or look up something, basically with Perplexity, it'll scan live websites, it'll scan YouTube videos, it'll scan blogs, it'll scan everything to deliver the information that you're asking for. And unlike ChatGPT, by the way, which will work on a data set from 2021. So just be aware of that. So Perplexity is pulling information from live websites. And if you have got blogs on there with good keywords in there, it will help drive traffic to your website. And I have been monitoring my blog information of where I'm getting leads, of who's watching my blogs. And it's really, really interesting to see where that traffic is coming from and what's driving them to there. So definitely think about a blog strategy if you're not doing one regularly. Now, podcasts. I started my podcast last year and I put it off for so long because I thought it would take extra work for me to do. And I was like, I don't have the time. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it right and all the things. But what I found is when I actually did do my podcast, it actually helped me create all of my other content so much easier because I was much more focused on my long form messaging and my topics, and it helped me to repurpose it and push it out to everywhere else as well. So a podcast, again, will also help with especially your show notes. Make sure they're optimized with keywords because that's how people will find you as well. And I can't tell you how many clients and people that I talk to that say they get so many leads from their podcast. And I definitely think that as a free way to promote your business, it's definitely worth investing your time into to create a podcast because while everyone does have a podcast, it seems these days, it's the consistency that will keep you, uh, I guess, evolving and growing because a lot of people will start a podcast, but the numbers of people actually continuing after, I think it's like the first 5 podcasts or whatever, they drop off significantly. So if you start a podcast and you continue with your podcast, it might be a slow burn to start with. But what I'm going to emphasize with it, even if you're getting 30 downloads or 10 downloads, there are 10 people that are spending half an hour with you. And never take that for granted. And so, again, it comes back to social media. People go, I've only got 200 followers. And I'm like, if you had 200 people standing outside your business right now going, hi, how happy would you be? I'd be over the moon. And that's how I look at every single Instagram follower that I have, is they're all my potential like audience, and I want to nurture that community. So podcast is very much the same thing, is that those people have invested good time out of their day to listen to what you've got to say. So it is a really powerful tool, as I've discovered, and it helps to also share my other content marketing as well. Number 6 is YouTube. Oh my God. Like, if I thought 20 years ago, 30 years ago that I could have my own TV channel, it would just blow my mind. And that's exactly what YouTube is. It's your own TV channel. Like, you can literally create your own content and have people interact, advertise, promote, collaborate, interview, showcase, demonstrate, explain everything on YouTube. And it just, again, it still blows my mind that we have such an incredible resource that we can use for free. And again, all it takes is our time in order to create that. YouTube is one of, because it's linked to Google, known by Google, this is probably going to be one of the biggest things that'll change in the near future with businesses' discoverability. And that's why I do always recommend to think about having a long form video content strategy. Okay, so number 7 is articles. Write a white paper or information from your blog or whatever and share it across different mediums to get published, and that's free. Number 8 is direct messages. It is a free way to promote your business. Direct messages. You can jump in and communicate with your audience via direct message and send them an audio message. You can send them a text message, and you can send them a video. Now, this also applies to emails as well. So often, like if I'm doing a webinar or anything like that, I will send the people who have registered an email video to say, hey, thanks so much for watching. Here's the replay. If you've got any questions, here's the offer or whatever. So direct messages is a really powerful way for you to communicate with your audience for free as well. And that is such a really powerful way to convert as well. So number 9 is website. Now, I know we might pay for, a provider to host our website, but I still want to remind you that it is a free resource for you to promote your business. And if you don't have offers on your website, your social profiles on your website, about you on your website, then these are the things that you need to go in and fix up and update and check. And I know I do this myself. Like, I'll go in and I'll go, oh, that link's broken, or I need to update that landing page with this information, or I need to add that social media handle onto the links down below, because this is your most powerful resource to convert business. And if you don't have all of your things on there, I was on a website, yesterday, and I heard a podcast. I went to that person's website and they just had their book on there. And I'm like, but what else? Apart from your book, what else? Because I just heard their podcast saying how they had a course and all the things. There was nothing on there. So if I didn't want to buy their book, there was no other way for me to engage with that person. So I really do bring this up of going, have a think about what's on your website, do an audit. And it's really good to get somebody with fresh eyes to go through your website, check your products, check your links, and If you had to go and stand on the street corner and sell what you do, or open a physical shop, a brick and mortar shop, it will cost you thousands of dollars to do it. Where your website is free, apart from the hosting cost, of course, but essentially you can put offers out there, you can inform people, you can put videos on there, you can put your blogs on there, you can put your podcasts on there, you can host everything on your website, and it's such a powerful tool for us to convert business. Um, so that's number 9. And number 10 of ways to promote your business for free is live streaming events. And I think that this is from my experience working with businesses and also my own business. Live streaming events is one of the most powerful ways for you to build engagement with your audience, because live streams allows people to ask questions in real time. It enables people to respond to you. It's a great way to engage with other collaborators if you want to interview them. It's a great way to showcase what you're doing as well. So live streaming events is such a powerful way that you can promote your business for free. And the other thing I want to say about all these 10 things is that you can do every single one of them using your phone. So even updating your website, you can do it from your phone these days. Even, if you want to add something into Google, you can do it from your phone. If you want to send somebody a direct message, you can do it from your phone. If I want to write out a blog, I can even sit on my notes and dictate it using my phone. So all of these methods are available for you to tap into using your phone. Obviously, it's going to make it easier if you're doing certain things on your computer. But why I highlight that is because you can create a video on your phone. You can create an email on your phone. You can do everything from your phone, and it's all for free for you to use. So I want to break down a little bit further social media, because each platform has different promotional methods where we can reach our audience, whether they're new or existing. So let's look at Instagram for starters. So Instagram, um, you know, whether you have a big following or not, it's how we use it, because Instagram has different ways on how you can communicate with new followers, or sorry, potential followers, and then their existing followers to engage with them and build community. So let's look at Reels. Reels are a video essentially where it's about a minute and a half you can share. Now, Reels are perfect for you to reach new audiences. So if you look into your insights, you can see when you post a video, it'll show you the amount of new followers versus existing that have watched. Live streaming is another really powerful way for you to engage with your audience. Stories. So stories only last for 24 hours, and stories I try and use pretty much every day. Now, with stories, this is what you use to engage with your current followers. So a lot of people go, I want new followers and I want new followers, and they get new followers and then they just don't talk to them. So sharing stories is a great way to interact and build community and build conversation. And it's unscripted, it's more relaxed, it's more informal, you can be more personal. I tend to talk so much differently in stories than I do in lives, in Reels, for example. So I do encourage you, especially if you're not used to talking on camera and you want to practice talking on camera, to start with stories. Posts is a single image essentially, and that's good to reinforce what your message is in your lives and Reels. And carousels are really good to also help with that, extending the life and reinforcing your message. And I don't generally find I get a lot of new followers from carousels. It's more my existing audience. So if I've got a workshop coming up, for example, a content marketing workshop coming up, I'll share a reel, I'll share a story, I'll share a live, but then I'll also put the details in a post and a carousel with more details. And it just helps to support my messaging and maximize what I'm doing in Instagram. And then, of course, you've got DMs. DMs are a really powerful way to have conversations as well. And then there's broadcast channels. Broadcast channels are great for people that have got bigger followers. Then you've got Facebook. So you've got everything that I just said there. And you've also got community with Facebook groups. And I think that Facebook groups are a really powerful way to build an audience and connection and community. TikTok. Now, you can actually do up to 30-minute videos on TikTok now. They are, I think, quietly just going for a YouTube market. They are one of the biggest search engines behind YouTube, I think, when it comes to searching information and researching information. I know that sometimes I was talking to someone yesterday about this, and one person had sort of scoffed about TikTok and the other person had went, no, no, don't underrate it. There's actually a lot of older people on there now. And I 100% agree. What used to be, a 13-year-old's playground essentially of dancing reels now becomes a really powerful platform for you to reach a large amount of audience. There are a lot of people that have um, catapulted their businesses using TikTok because they have this incredible reach. The content I find is different on TikTok than on Instagram. TikTok's definitely ahead of the trend game. And yeah, so think about your strategy with TikTok if that's something that you want to go around. I still play around with it. I still share videos and see what works and what doesn't. The other one, you've got Threads and you've got X. Now, Threads are linked to Instagram, they're owned by Meta. So you can now in Instagram share content not only to Facebook, but you can actually opt to push it out to Threads as well, which I find is really helpful. Okay, next one, YouTube Shorts. So it's a great way to repurpose your long form content, and shorts are getting a lot of traction and attention with YouTube. They are pushing out shorts as well for followers. LinkedIn. So I love LinkedIn because you can share posts, you can create live streaming events, newsletter. I created a newsletter on LinkedIn, and I get a really good result out of LinkedIn newsletter. So when you create an article in your newsletter, then you can share it as a post out to everybody as well. So definitely think about setting up a newsletter for that if you haven't already. In a world where there are so many options to promote our business for free using our phone in our pocket, the question begs, why aren't we? Why aren't we utilizing all of these opportunities for us to promote our business for free? I guess working in with my business, for example, I have a lot of people that come to me and they're like, I just don't know what to talk about. I run out of ideas. I don't know what content to actually make. The other problem is that people go, I'm not getting impact with the content that I'm making. I don't know how to make it so it actually resonates with people, or I seem to spend a lot of time making content with no results. And a lot of the time, it's because their messaging isn't clear. A lot of the time, they're selling the features of their product or service rather than the benefits. And that's kind of like a car salesperson saying, this car has an engine and four wheels. And you're like, great, of course it does. As opposed to saying, this car will take your family of five plus the two dogs and tow a caravan to your favorite holiday destination. That's the benefits. Okay, so the other reason why people don't turn up and use, these 10 ways to promote their business for free is because they're not confident showing up. They're not confident with the tech, and they're not confident talking on camera. And there's a real big fear of judgment. And I talk about this inside Content Catalyst which is my membership. And this month we're talking about this very subject of personal branding and talking on camera. And it's we have this fear of criticism, we have this fear of judgment, and I'm not judging anyone for that either. It's that if you didn't grow up with a phone in your hand like my son has, it's like it's a really intimidating thing to do. So I teach people ways on how to show up when you're not confident. I teach you how to create content that resonates with your audience. Because of that, I saw people, and I work with people all the time for this reason. And that's why I became a video coach as well, because not only, it's one thing to know marketing, but it's also another thing to actually communicate it. And what I love about video is that it is such a powerful way to communicate with your audience and share what you do, apart from standing in front of somebody. Like, standing in front of somebody is the fastest way to build that familiarity, understanding of what you do, and converse and relate. The second next thing is video. And everything I've told you today, you can use video in all of those things. Okay? So you can use video in your blogs, you can use video in your podcasts, you can use video in your direct messages, you can use video on social media, you can use video in your email marketing. And I encourage you to use video in all of those ways to promote your business for free, because the more you use video, the easier it is for people to understand what you do and build a relationship with you and essentially buy from you. And this is why it became a mission of mine to help people to do that, because over the years, I've spoken with thousands of businesses and I'm always blown away that they've just got so many amazing stories to share, and how they help people is like what they do and how they help people. And I'm like, if only people could know this, if only people could understand what you do. And you're like, that can be life changing for somebody when you share what you do. And you're like, yeah, but I'm a tour guide. How does that change someone's life? And I'm like, if you're a tour guide and you're taking someone around on a tour and they meet the love of their life while they're on that tour, that's life changing. They might move to that destination. That's life changing for someone. If you're a life coach and you have a different technique than other people, that they've tried 10 people before, and it takes just you to get them to stop procrastinating, and then they change their job, and when they change their job, they're much happier and they buy a house. That's life changing for someone. You're a winery and you go, well, how does that change someone's life? And it's like, because that's where memories are made. Someone goes there to celebrate their milestone birthday, their 40th birthday, or they got engaged there. That is life changing for someone, because that is a memory that will always stay close to their heart. So somebody needs to hear what you have to do. And that's why I'm really passionate about being able to use all these ways to share your message, and definitely use video in that as well. And I guess it comes down to, many of us dabble with sharing a Facebook post, or we send an email once a month, and we just and especially when a lot of people do this, they don't send an email for ages, and then they'll send an email when they've got something to sell, and rather than adding value all the time. But we don't really get results when we do this, and that's often why people just stop. They just like, oh, and just spend all day editing a reel for Instagram, and they've got hardly any views. Have you ever noticed, right? Is it when you don't put a lot of thought into a video and you share it on Instagram, it will just go nuts. And then the one that you've spent half a day filming and editing and doing all the things, and you're like, ah, it got 20 views. Great. And it's yeah, that's frustrating, I'm gonna say, for sure. But this is where I say, don't give up when you get to that point. What it means is that you probably haven't got a strategy or a plan. And I see a lot of people that they outsource their social media to VAs, for example, and that's great, except they don't know who your audience is and they don't know your business goals. So they can go in and they can create a Canva tile and they can schedule it in the scheduler and share it to Facebook and LinkedIn and whatever. But this is why your social media isn't landing, or your content isn't landing. And, they can create blogs for you, they can create emails for you. It's fantastic what VAs can do. However, if we're not giving them a strategy, and then if we're not doing the strategy ourselves and then handing them the plan on, the system, then you are likely going to fail in getting the results that you need. So when it comes to, and I know I've tried, I know I've gone through this exercise, and also just to add is that when you do try something, doing something once is not an experiment. Okay, so this is where you go, "Oh, I've tried making videos and it doesn't work," and it's like, but what did you actually try? So it really takes a moment to stop and really look at what you actually did and review, debrief what you did in your activities, and that'll give you a bit of a clearer picture in it as well. And there's one mistake that I see so many businesses make of why it doesn't work for you and why it takes so long as well, is because they are promoting their business without a strategy and a plan. And that's what I was just saying, is that they're not clear on what to make how to make it or where to share it. Their messaging isn't clear, and then they basically spend time selling features, not the benefits, not the transformation. And they're not clearly communicating their uniqueness of how they help someone else. So when you add in the mix of technology, and it's like, oh, boom, stop, it's too hard. I'll go and create a Canva tile, post it on Facebook, run an ad to it, tick the box next. Put your hand up if you've ever done that. So promoting your business is free using the ways that I've shared with you today, but it does take some time. And if you do want to future proof your business, because how you get discovered is changing, make no mistake about it. There are big changes coming online of how we get discovered. Then you need to firstly allocate some time, a week, a month, whatever, to actually make content marketing. Now, if you already do this, you need to look at how you spend your time, your systems, and your resources so you can shortcut that. However, if you're not, and you go, I don't have time, if you do not schedule time in your diary, you will never have time. For me, I do this Monday afternoons. Content Catalyst is my membership, and Mondays are marketing Mondays. So we get in, we do our masterclass or our workroom, and then after that, I then go and do my own marketing for my own business as well. And often that's what happens with us. Content marketing in general just gets pushed to the back seat because when we've got a business to run, it's the last thing that is a priority for us generally. However, I want you to think of content marketing now like you had a cafe and you sell coffee and that's your cash cow. And if you do not have coffee beans in the coffee machine, you can't sell anything. That's how important content marketing needs to be in your business these days. So, and look, hey, I'm guilty of this. It's Saturday afternoon and I'm sitting here recording a podcast, but I want to get this done. And I know the value when I get this done of how much impact it can have for my business and for the other person listening to the podcast. And the other thing is because I know that if I spend the afternoon doing this podcast and I'm recording it, recording it on video, this will produce a week's worth of solid content that I can share 10 different ways that I spoke to you about today. Actually more, because I will repurpose it and get different snippets from things. But it will also continue to work for me years down the track. So it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And when it comes to promoting your business online, here's what I've learned on how to optimize your time to spend creating content and distributing it. Okay. So I start with one hero video, and that's a long form video, and that's what I'm recording right now. Now, one of the things I want to share with you when you do create this one video, it has to be quality. And this came up recently in discussions I was having in my business group. Is it quality or quantity when it comes to making content? And I think it's both. So this video has to be quality, and it has to be what your audience is searching for. What are their problems? What are their challenges? What are their aspirations? You need to address that point, and it needs to correspond with the services or products that you offer. Okay. You need to solve that problem. And this is why YouTube videos can make people money years down the track, is because they've made good quality evergreen content that people are searching, and they'll always come back and look up. And that's why it still makes them money. Okay. So when I create one long form hero video, I will then repurpose it into 15 different pieces of content marketing. All roads of that pieces of content marketing leads back to Rome, my website. Now, this can take, like I said, the afternoon for me to sit down. I outline my my video, I record it, and then I can create my blogs and my newsletter and my podcast and my social media clips and my story content, but it all stems from one topic that I create. So as I mentioned, when you are creating a quality piece of content, you need to look at what what problems are you solving? It's what people are searching for, essentially. So, why start with one hero video? Well, not only is it an efficient way to spread your message across different touch points, and I'm going to get to that in a second, it will also help you fast track the buyer journey. And it'll help you fast track the buyer journey by building your credibility, showing your expertise, especially when you use video, because you can demonstrate what you do. And it helps to keep you relevant and build your brand awareness. So think about, like, if we don't hear about your favorite bar or restaurant for ages, and then somebody says, "Where should we go?" You're like, "Oh, we should go there, but I haven't heard about them for ages. I wonder if they're still in business." So this is why sharing content consistently helps keep your brand relevant. It helps create familiarity and likability. And I don't know, have you ever met somebody in person that you've followed for a long time? And then when you actually meet them in person, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I already know you already. There's that real ease of conversation. And that's because they've gotten to know you online. My favorite is it creates conversation and it nurtures your community. And this leads to generating leads, website traffic, and inevitably sales. So let's talk about touch points. Touch points refer to any instance where a potential customer interacts with your brand, and these interactions can be through various channels and formats, and it can be both online and in person. Now, Google did research on this, and they did extensive research on this on the modern buyer journey, and they came up with what's called the 7-11-4 rule. And basically, this is the modern customer buying journey. To turn a stranger into a buyer, they essentially need to experience 7 hours of an interaction with a brand across 11 different touch points in 4 separate locations before making a purchase decision. So let's look at what this would be like, and we'll break down how someone can spend 7 hours consuming your content online, for example, might look like. So if you created a podcast, you'd need to create 3 20-minute podcasts, 50 reels, and let's say they were on average 30 seconds each. You need to you need to share 3 blogs, and let's say they spend about 10 minutes reading through your blog. Webinars, let's say you did a webinar for 60 minutes. 4 newsletters in your emails, and they can scan that. It takes about 5 minutes to scan or 10 minutes. Social media posts, you'd have to share, and this is just a single image, post, 240 of those. And then a video podcast, so you could share like 4 of those, 30 minutes. And that would equate to 7 hours of them consuming your content. Now, it sounds like a lot, right? However, when you break down that 7-11-4 rule, if you did what I just said before, in under a month of you creating one hero video and breaking it up and repurposing it across the different platforms that I said, you would hit that in under a month. You would hit that 7 hours of a stranger to a buyer in under a month. And I think that's a really powerful thing. So I theme each of my month. So I have content categories, for example, and each month I have a different theme. So this month, for example, is personal branding, where last month was about tech. So I would look at 4 hot topics that people are researching. What are their needs? Again, I'll go and research that. And that might be how to use ChatGPT or AI. It might be what tech do you need to create video podcasts. It might be how to edit them and create short snippets. So you'd look at 4 hot topics under that category. Then you would record that video, break it down into the 15 pieces of content marketing, but you would use AI to help you break that down as an assistant. So I use Perplexity AI to help me then repurpose the outline, because I always write an outline. Before I record this video, I write a complete outline of what I want to talk about. I then take the transcription of this podcast. I'll pop it through the Perplexity. It'll write my show notes, my time chapters. It'll give me a blog outline. Now, I've already pretty much written my blog anyway, but I use it as an assistant. It can help me write my newsletter. And then using AI in the programs that I use, for example, StreamYard, but I use Premiere Pro, but I can use it in StreamYard as well, and Riverside, whatever you record in. I can then create 3 different video snippets, which I can then push out on social media. I can, again, like I said with the show notes, I can create a blog with it. So once you have the principles and the workflow and the system, having that one hero video makes it so much easier to be able to hit those 7-11-4 rules. So those 11 touch points can be across, say, your website, online, a recommendation, a webinar. They go to your different social media, they got an email from you, then they see it in stories. So this is how, when you share it across the different platforms, that message helps that message and supports that message. And then you've been telling that same story all week, and then it's that one Instagram reel that you post that goes, oh yeah, I need to make that. I need to do that. I need to book that. So this is how they all work together. If you know, doing all the things, but sometimes people don't buy from you. And this is why I say this rule works based on the proviso that the information that you are giving is valuable based on your audience and based on their needs at the time. Because if you're not sharing valuable information that people need to know about, then it's a waste of time recording a video for the sake of a video. And this is where I see a lot of people make that mistake. They don't have a format to the content that they're creating. Okay, so this is why researching and knowing how to research your topic is so, so important. So that's number one. You've got to make sure that whatever you're spending, half an hour recording a podcast doing, or 10 minutes recording, I don't care how long it is that it's what people are actually looking up. So if they're not in the market for your product at the time, then if you are sharing valuable information, and I do this, I follow people, for a year or two before I actually buy something because I don't have the need at the time. However, if somebody I know needs that, it's a no-brainer for me to recommend them and refer them. And that's the power of content marketing, is that I may not need it, but being consistently present in people's orbit helps to increase your word of mouth recommendations. So content marketing helps you get discovered. Video and keywords in your written format is vital these days to future-proof your business, because as I mentioned, like when I look up Perplexity, for example, and Google. So when you look up Google these days, it will show videos. Like the number, the next thing down from the actual search in any sponsored posts, they're videos. So this is why having a video strategy as part of your content marketing is so, so important. And look, again, I hear you say, oh my God, 15 pieces of content. I can barely even just do a few reels a week or a few posts. But if you don't know who you're talking to, or you're not resonating with your audience, and you don't know what topics to talk about, you don't have the time, and you don't know about the tech and how to use it, this is why you need a content marketing strategy. Because everything I'm telling you here today is free to promote your business. It just needs the investment of your time. And if you don't have a lot of time, then you need to work efficiently. And for example, I often do a lot of live streams when I don't have time to sit and edit a reel on Instagram for whatever. And I actually get really good results out of live videos. It's again having that format and that system of how to use the shortcuts, have the systems and AI to help you do that. Now, many people make the mistake, as I mentioned before, is that they think, right, I can't do social media, I need to outsource it. And then they get a VA. And I've just gone through this process because I'm screening VAs at the moment to be able to offer this service as well. And they know how to go into Canva, some of them, and they can basic edit a Canva video, but they're not you. and they don't know your business goals and they don't know your ideal customer like you and the problems that they face. Okay. So, this is why you need to be involved in that process to create the marketing strategy and the plan. When you do that, the system and the workflow, then you can actually get that and hand it to your team. You can hand it to a VA, you can hand it to somebody who says they can do social media. But don't expect them to create that. That is something that you have to do if you want results, if you actually want to get um, the investment for the time, because you're still the golden goose. You still need to turn up to do the video. You still need to turn up to record the podcast. Uh, but once you do that, you should be able to press record and then be able to hand it on because you've got to run your business. So go off and do that. Now, the other thing that I also come up in one of my business groups in recently is the conversation of, oh, I need some content pillars. And I looked it up on YouTube and it said to create some educational, some inspirational, or entertaining content. Now, I want to just say that this is an angle or an approach. That's the format and how you deliver your topic. That's not a strategy. Okay. So I can talk about microphones, for example. And I'm like, if you need a microphone for your podcast, here's how to. So I can have an approach of being educational. I can be inspirational, going, check out this podcast mic. It sounds so much better than this mic. So I want to inspire you to upgrade your microphone, or I can entertain you and I could create something funny about this microphone and how I use it and things. Okay, so this is the approach of how you create content, not the actual strategy itself. And each business has solutions that target different customers. So this is why you need to be there to go, all right, well, this is the core offer and this is, you know, and I do this because I create content marketing strategies for a lot of businesses. And then often what they'll do is they'll use it wording, language that's too high level. And what you have to do is then break it down. So, for example, a life coach may say, all right, well, this person, the implement, they've been procrastinating. Great. How do they procrastinate? What are some of the examples of procrastination? What does it look like? They scroll on TikTok. They, lie in bed for, all day, whatever that is. So then we get really nitty-gritty to what are their pain points and what are they struggling with. And we paint that picture, which is what I call a vivid story. So we literally visualize and we put like a little cap on. So we're in that person's headspace and we understand what they're struggling with or what they're aspiring for. Okay. So, yeah, this is when we get to that point. We want to use the jargon that our customers speak. We want to understand the thoughts that run through their heads, and that's when you can create impact. We want to know the shortcuts. We want to know how to use AI to, make our lives easier, because there's some great AI that, like editing, for example, that used to take hours to do editing, I can do in minutes now. Okay, so if you want more help on how to do this, I'm actually hosting a content marketing workshop on the 9th of July in the Hunter Valley. It's an in-person workshop. And the idea behind this workshop is so you actually walk away with a strategy and a plan in your hand. Because so many people, I don't know, I do it myself. Attend masterclasses or things and I learn, but I never do. So this is only limited to 10 people, and I kept it really small and intimate because I want you to be able to, have the focus and the attention to get this done. And then we sit down over lunch and we, connect with the people there, because I think connection is really important these days. And that's why for me, I'm going to be doing a lot more in-person events coming up for the rest of the year. And then once you know that, then you can create the plan and then you can hand it to your VA. Then you can hand it to your team or your agency or whoever. But you need to be doing the strategy part yourself. Once you do that, you'll feel so much more confident on knowing that you've got a game plan that you can outsource confidently as well. So the details are in the show notes. If you do want to come to the content marketing workshop, there are only a handful of tickets left at the time of recording this. So I hope this episode has been helpful. And if it has, please leave me a review or share it with somebody else that might get some value out of this. The details are in the show notes. And until next episode, happy promoting.